Hello, my name's Dave Berry, a full stack developer. So today I want to talk about a little iOS app that I've done as a challenge to myself. So what I wanted to do is design a reasonably complex little app for a small screen using native technology. Things I wanted to challenge myself with was creating a significantly complex input scenario that was displayed well on a small screen, which allowed the user a lot of control over the input parameters while enabling ease of use. The thing that I wanted to include was a way to change things like unit of measurement while using the app, but without having to leave the main screen, and present that in an easy to use way. I wanted to provide things like instant feedback to changing in parameters, and also just adding a little bit of user styling in there, giving the option to change things and use the night mode or the dark mode on the display. I also wanted to get the app into the App Store. I've created quite a few apps just using the enterprise distribution model, but no prior experience of getting things into the App Store, the procedure, the review process. But now that's all done. Reasonably straightforward once you follow all the steps. But let's have a look at the app. So the problem space that I decided to use for the application was something used in the fitness industry called TDEE, Total Daily Energy Expenditure Calculation. So this is used for the basis of calculating nutrition calories based on some input parameters, in this case being gender, age, height, weight, activity level, and body fat percentage. There's 3 different formulas that you can use based on the body fat percentage, but I wanted to sort of hide the complexity of that away from the user. So this is the startup screen. So you can select your gender using the standard iOS components, and then we can come down to age. So this is a standard component, but I've decided to embed it inside this little drop down. So most iOS users will be familiar with this. Another little feature is how we can highlight the interactivity. So here in red, we've got what's currently being edited, and if we stop editing it, it comes back to black. So it's just a subtle indication. It just helps guide the user what they're changing. And what you will also notice is that the row just briefly highlights. And again, this is an Apple standard that just indicates to the user what they are editing. So we move on to height. And this is what I was talking about earlier, giving the user to change the units of measurement that they want to use, most comfortable with. So here we can put 5'7" as a height, but this automatically converts to centimeters or to inches or back to feet and inches. And again, as we can see, it's highlighted in red and changes as we go. And this is a very similar thing in weight. So let's pick. There we go. And again, converts on the fly, quite transparent to the user, and they can pick the unit of measurement that they're comfortable with. Here's a slightly different selector, which is just text rather than just numbers. Same again. Here is a more complex component. So the body fat percentage, you can omit it from the calculations altogether. You can use estimated, which looks at your height, weight, age, gender, and comes up with an estimated body fat. Or if you've got skin calipers and all this good stuff, you can enter your body fat as a percentage and get a more accurate outcome. So based on these parameters, it's saying that we should have 2,800 calories a day. But again, we can change this. So if you want to cut your calories, if you're trying to diet, reduce your weight slightly, you can do this. So it calculates the difference per day and the reduction total per week. And here we've got a summary in both days and by the week of what that change would be. Or you can go into bulk mode. And there, you can just quickly change without using the keyboard. Change the number of calories and get an instant feedback. We're just going to select maintain. And here is your macro split. So we've got some presets of macro splits, or you can select a custom split. As you can see, there's a very subtle animation there that lets the user know that they're going to change these percentages for the splits. On a smaller iPhone, this will be more dramatic, but on this larger simulator, it just subtly scrolls up. So it's important to keep what the user is editing in view. Here we have some sliders. So this was a little bit of a challenge. So these numbers here must always add up to 100%. And that's quite tricky if you've got 3 sliders, making sure that they all add up. So the formula, after much trial and error, is to select your protein percentage first, which is typically what you would do for these calculations, and then you can adjust the carbs and fats later. But you can always just drop down protein and select any other value, and they all adjust reasonably intelligently. Or you can just go back to a preset. So another thing I wanted to do was incorporate the iPhone's ability to use dark mode. So it swaps between those. I also wanted to include a level of customization by the user. So pressing this button pops up a little theme palette, and they can choose their theme that they like. So we did this by encapsulating some of the controls. They listen or subscribe to events when the theme changes, and then they alter their appearance. So these controls are very sort of generic and can be reused, and they'll always listen to a theme. One last feature that included was a view calculation. So calculations going off behind the scenes, but this just presents a full breakdown of the formulas used. So first it presents the formula, and then the actual calculation, and the full breakdown right to the results that you want to see at the bottom. You can share those results. If this wasn't a proper device, you'd be able to share it in a message or an email, save it into notes, but we're just on the simulator, so that's not going to work for now. Thank you for taking time to watch this showcase video. As you can see, I finally got this app into the store. This was designing for the small screen. Please look out for the next video, which will be designing for the tiny screen. Thank you.